Hey, it's Meatball.
And Mark.
And this is the Rocker Morning Show on demand from 107.7 RKR.
Kalamazoo's Rock, Station 107.7 RKR. It is the Rocker Morning Show with Meatball. No Mark Frankhouse. He's taking some time off the next couple of days. Actually, he's headed out to the east side of the state. He's going to go see, we interviewed TJ Miller last week. He's going to go see that show with his partner. And it sounds like it's going to be a fun trip. So enjoy, Mark. I know you're listening this morning. Enjoy the trip. And when you get back, it's going to be Oberon Day. Nobody else going to be in this building except for me on Monday. I'm not even kidding. We're taking a company holiday, and we're going to see you all down there for Oberon Day on Monday, and then Tuesday we'll be back in here for this show, which will be great. And it brings up an interesting topic, taking an extra day off during the week, because I saw this week where legislation has been introduced now, both state and federal, I think, to make the national work week only 32 hours instead of 40. I fully support this. The question is, do you still spread the 32 hours over 5 days, or do you make it a 4-day work week? I think it works for some places, but not for others. Because a job like ours, that doesn't work. Because we have to be here at least 5 days a week. Like, we have to be here on work days, Monday through Friday, to do this show. But then, that would be like 1 8-hour day and then 4 6-hour days. It's doable, and it would force some of these major companies elsewhere to like hire some more help, because so many of them are already asking so much of their current employees. Like, imagine if they only had 32 hours to get all of the stuff done they're supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like, for example, my first job in radio, by the time I left that station, I had 4 different managerial titles in the building. I was on 2 different stations. I did my own specialty show, and I was working something like 70 hours a week. It was bad. My business cards were like business sheets of paper. And I am by no means bragging about this. It was awful at the end. Like, I was tired all the time. My relationships outside of work were suffering because of it. Like, we focus so much on work these days, and so intently, like when we're really in it, because like we have all these goals we have to meet, right? We have expectations we have to meet because we don't want to get fired. So a little extra time to just get some errands done, cleaning around the house, catch up on cartoons, maybe an extra day to grab a drink with your friends or date night with your partner. Like, I'm down for that. I'd be all for that, Of course, me being single AF right now, like it would mean I would have some time to actually go find a partner. Maybe. I don't know. Who's out in the middle of the afternoon? You know what I mean? Ladies, anyone down to hang out with a guy who wakes up at 3:30 in the morning and is in bed by 8 o'clock almost every night? Also, I routinely take naps around 1 o'clock. Yeah, super attractive. What if I told you it comes with a free station t-shirt? No, Kalamazoo's Rock, Station 107.7 RKR. It is the Rock and Morning Show with Meatball. Mark is out for the next couple of days. We'll see him back here next Tuesday after we have our company holiday on Monday for Oberon Day. Oberon Day obviously started spring, despite how it feels outside. Yesterday was the first day of spring. And, this is not spring. It's so cold. We're supposed to get a bunch of snow tomorrow. Maybe this is spring in Michigan. In fact, for those that are unaware, this is the 23rd spring in Michigan. So, you know what that means, right? Jeepers Creepers. Stay indoors. Don't go anywhere near scarecrows and cornfields. No, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, the film Jeepers Creepers talks about this. It came out in 2001. It's a horror film with this character that's like an old man, but he's like a scarecrow, a bat, a vampire. Like he's just this awful like horror creature that has gone down as one of the best ever made in horror films. But the lore is he reappears every 23 years. Well, again, the film came out in 2001 and it's 2024. So it has officially been 23 years since the film came out, which means it's time for the man, I guess they're calling him, to come back out again. Now, what's interesting about this movie and this story, and I actually got a call about this just a little bit ago, why I brought it up, Michigan specifically, it's based on a murder that happened in Coldwater, Michigan in 1990. The Depew murders, for those that remember, And it's specifically that opening scene in the film where that's really connected to the murders. What happened to the film was, two people were coming home from college for spring break. They stumble upon an old man in a trench coat, dumping a body. And then, when they try to get away, they get tailgated and run off the road by, this old man creature thing in a van. Well, that is almost exactly what happened in real life when Ray and Marie Thornton drove by Dennis Depew's parked van at a schoolhouse and saw him dumping his wife's body after he'd already killed her, only to find themselves being followed by him in his van for several miles. Now, obviously, Depew didn't turn out to be some demonic creature monster bat thing that feeds on people every 23 years. But he is a monster. Don't get me wrong there. But yeah, just so everyone's aware, it is the 23rd spring. And apparently the creature in the film feeds for 23 days before disappearing for the next 23 years. And that feeding apparently started on day 1 of spring, which was yesterday. So we have 22 days left. So it might be a good idea to just stay inside until April 11th. Or at least, avoid any real sketchy scarecrows until then. Just in case. You never know. Kalamazoo's Rock Station 107.7. RKR is the Rock Morning Show with Meatball. No Mark Frankhouse. He's out for the next couple of days. We'll see him back here next week. Something happened on Sunday down in Toledo that, of course, this would happen in Ohio. John Mellencamp was doing a show. And by all accounts, John Mellencamp has still got it. He still puts on an awesome show. And the dude has got some miles on him. Let's just put it like that. He's very seasoned. And with that, I don't mean this in a negative way, because with that, he's got a lot of really cool stories to go along with his career and the things that he's done, the music he's written and whatnot. So anytime you go to see a John Mellencamp show, you have to expect that you're going to get a little more of the music in that show. Obviously, music being the part that you're really there for. But the opportunity to sit there and listen to John Mellencamp tell stories about his rock and roll history and his family and get to know him a little bit better, so you understand the music a little better, it's got to be a really cool experience. Unless you're apparently these 2 or 3 people in Toledo, Ohio, who just want him to play the damn song. And I guess during this incident last Sunday, John was telling this story, and some heckler just started screaming at him to play some music. So, John called him out and he goes, "What do you think I've been doing, you word I can't say on the radio?" He goes, "Here's the thing, man. You don't know me. You don't effing know me. Hey, Joe," and he was talking to somebody else in the crowd, some security guy. He goes, "Find this guy and let me see him after the show." Now, was John Mellencamp going to fight this dude? Probably not. I think he just wanted to have a word with him. Because John Mellencamp seems like a dude who's just like, listen, I'm going to kick your ass if I have to. But at the same time, I would much rather just get to know you. And hopefully you get to know me type of thing. You know what I mean? So, he dealt with that heckler. He started to continue on with the story. And then somebody else screams out, "Play an Authority song." He goes, "You know what? You guys have been so great tonight. I think I'm just going to cut 10 songs and we're just going to get out of here." So he started playing Jack and Diane. Got about halfway through and he goes, "You know what? We're done." And then literally sets his guitar down and walks off stage. And that was it. He cut the show about 30, 40, 50 minutes short or something. He cut 10 songs from the set. Walked off stage. People started leaving. They thought the show was done. Security took care of the 2 hecklers. Got them out of there. And then a little bit later, John did come back out on stage. He apologized. And he sat down and played a whole bunch more songs to the people that were still there. So, obviously the majority of the crowd, and somebody probably said this to him, listen, the majority of the people are here to just hear you play, man. But those 2 or 3 dudes are not indicative of what's going on here. That being said, it did happen in Toledo, Ohio. So, we did have a war over that. At one time, Michigan wanted that Toledo strip, and now it's tainted and gross, and it's got Ohio people there. So we don't claim them whatsoever. But it is cool that John finally did come out and play the show. So that's fantastic. But man, what a good one. Chances are Matt Wardlaw is going to be talking about that on Ultimate Classic Rock. Kalamazoo's Rock Station 107.7 RKR. It is the Rock Morning Show with Meatball again. Mark Frankhouse not in today. So there's been a lot of buzz around women's sports lately, and honestly, rightfully so. You get Caitlin Clark in Iowa for college basketball right now. Tons of other standouts too in women's basketball. The Pro Women's Hockey League, though, is starting to set attendance records at all their games. Like, this is a huge year for women's sports. And I just hope it continues into the WNBA and Detroit can eventually get a team back. Because, I mean, that would be fun, right? But it's specifically the Pro Women's Hockey League that I want to talk about because at the moment, Michigan does not have a team. And as I'm told, hockey is kind of a big deal here. Like, the only other state that makes hockey a bigger deal would be Minnesota, maybe Alaska, but like they're way out there. We don't know much about them. So Minnesota does have one of the pro women's hockey teams right now. In fact, there are only 6 teams in the league at the moment. 3 of them are in Canada, and then 3 of them are in the States. But clearly, with the popularity as big as it is, like they're looking to expand at some point. And Michigan seems like a good spot, you know, for that expansion to happen. They had a game at Little Caesars Arena last weekend between the Boston and Ottawa teams, and they sold 13,776 tickets. So there's that. Clearly far more popular than the Pistons right now, and neither team was even from Detroit. But there's a huge response to that game and having women's professional hockey in town. One of the coolest moments, and I'll probably have some people wanting my rocker card for this, but at one point they were playing Taylor Swift during the game because she's, you know, the largest artist on the planet and clearly popular with women. You're at a women's sporting event. It just makes sense. But I swear to you, all 13,000 of those fans were singing in unison along with Taylor Swift. It's a very cool moment. We actually have that on the Rocker app if you want to go see it. It's honestly no different, though, than like a rock show, you know, where tens of thousands of people are singing along with like Guns N' Roses, you know. It's just a different artist. But it is very cool to see that. And to the point of putting a pro women's hockey team in Michigan, I think Detroit and Michigan would be able to support it, yeah? I mean, tell me if you think I'm wrong. It'd be tricky to schedule around the Red Wings, or maybe you put them in like Flint or Grand Rapids or something. But it seems like the support would be there if they wanted to expand. I would go to a game. I think it'd be a ton of fun. Now, granted, I'm still very hockey ignorant. My knowledge of hockey is limited to the Mighty Ducks movies and the Hanson brothers from Slapshot. So that's really all I need to know, though, right? Like Flying V, protect your teams by beating up all the other guys and give them the knuckle puck for an automatic goal. See, I got this.
On demand now at the Rocker app. And more next. This is the Rocker Morning Show on Kalamazoo's Rock Station. 107.7 RKR.
Kalamazoo's Rock Station 107.7 RKR. It is the Rocker Morning Show with Meatball. There is a killer in West Michigan that we need to be on the lookout for, especially if you have eastern hemlock trees. This invasive species has been ravaging forests and really damaging the ecosystem in some areas, and it is the hemlock woolly adelgid. I think I'm saying that right. Adelgid? I don't know. It's a tiny little insect, about the size of a bed bug, maybe just a little larger. But apparently they're all over the place, and that's the issue. So these little bugs have been getting into the eastern hemlock trees, which make up a lot of the evergreens in Michigan forests. They create these little tiny little cotton ball looking hideouts under the needles and on the branches of the trees. And then they feed on the tree. Now, I don't know exactly what they're eating off the tree. Like, I'm not sure if they're eating the sap or like the nutrients in the bark. I don't think they're eating the needles. But I could be wrong. Anyway, they have these long, like, tubey mouths, I guess, and when they inject it into the tree to eat, they also have a toxin on them that helps penetrate the outside of the tree. Well, the toxin doesn't just stay in that spot on the tree. It actually spreads, makes the trees really sick, and to that point, yeah, the leaves and branches will die, but then the toxin doesn't allow them to grow back, I guess. So that's what's really killing these trees. Now, they are not native to Michigan. Shocker. And I'll give you one guess as to where they're all from. Ready? Say it with me. They're from Asia. Yeah, another Asian invasive species. Why are all the invasive species Asian, man? This one, I'm told, is actually an accident. But the DNR says if you do see these little guys, which I've got some photos of them up on the station site, up on the Rocker app as well. Take some photos of them. call the DNR to report where they are, and then leave it at that. I guess if you try and like cut them off or remove them, like it causes this stuff to spread even worse. So let the DNR handle it. We can keep our forests in West Michigan. Gross little guys too, man. Not the bugs. The bugs are gross, not the DNR. We like them. Kalamazoo's Rock, Station 107.7 RKR. It is the Rocker Morning Show. My name is Meatball. Well, the eclipse is coming up in a couple of weeks now, and I know, we're making a big deal out of the total eclipse in like Ohio. I know a lot of people are going down there in Indiana to see it as well, which is really cool. But I mean, like, we're going to be at 90% here. So it's still going to be pretty cool. It's going to get dark. And in fact, the eclipse is going to get so dark in some areas. Texas has actually put out an alert earlier this week that people need to conserve their power during the eclipse, because as it gets dark, like streetlight systems and other dark sky electric systems will kick on at odd hours. They think it could be bad enough that it'll just screw up their fragile little electric network down there. It's insane, man. Oh, God, Texas. But in Indiana, parts of Ohio, they're actually encouraging people to stock up on food and water before this happens. But it's not for the reasons that you think, or maybe they are. It's not in case like there's an apocalypse or sudden purge or something like that. They just want locals to have what they need before the eclipse tourists get into the area and take everything for themselves. They're like locusts. They're asking people to make sure that their fuel tanks are full, because the roads are going to be like heavily congested. So you don't want to get caught low on gas and stuck in traffic. And according to officials, most schools have closed in Indiana and Ohio for student safety. It really does feel like they're prepping for an apocalypse, man. Like, this is so huge. I don't ever remember an eclipse being this big of a deal before. I remember when we had one as a kid, like I was in Oklahoma at the time, and we just used it as our school lesson that day. We all went outside. We did the little pinhole box thing. We took turns using the glasses to look at it. And then that was it. We went back to recess, It's just another thing that happened. But this has been propped up now to be this huge thing. Like, people are driving hundreds and thousands of miles to get here to see it. People are coming from other countries to see it. Like, I don't get it, man. It's cool. Yeah. But do we really need to throw this much at it? Trust me, I'm a space nerd. Like, I love this stuff. So don't get me wrong. It's very cool. But is it cool enough to shut down entire cities for a day? Let alone the entire state of Ohio just being like, yeah, it's going to be dark for a couple minutes, so we're just not going to do anything all day. Hundreds of thousands of years of evolution and scientific discovery in the human race, and something as simple as an eclipse still sends us into apocalypse mode. Oh, man. I can't even imagine the conspiracy theories that are going around about it, too. Like, I don't know, it's actually some secret spy satellite doing this, or it's distracting us from aliens landing, or it is aliens and we're just covering it up, or this is all perpetuated by big round earth to convince flat earthers the world is round when we all know it's flat. Like, no, it is none of that. Okay? There's no conspiracy. It's just the moon passing between earth and the sun. That's it. Okay? There are no conspiracies. And this is coming from the conspiracy guy on this show, okay? I literally have a sticker on my water bottle that says birds aren't. Kalamazoo's Rock, Station 107.7 RKR. It is the Rocker Morning Show. My name is Meatball. Well, let's celebrate the last few moments of our March Madness brackets being in at least decent looking shape. We're also hopeful when we first start these. But the tournament starts today. Officially, the NCAA tournament starts. And in fact, Mississippi State and Michigan State kicking off the first game, 12:15 on CBS. That's going to be the first one. So, if all your Spartans friends disappear after lunch, you kind of know what's happening there. But that should be a great game. That's an 8 seed and a 9 seed, Michigan State being the 9 seed. My thoughts on that game, I think Michigan State is going to go. I think they're going to do a deep run in the NCAA tournament, because there's something different about Michigan State in tournament time. There's just, it's playoff LeBron type of situation. There's just another gear at that time. Playoff Michael, playoff Kobe, that type of thing. So I think Michigan State's going to get that win. I have officially filled out all 3 of my brackets, and I told you guys yesterday with Mark that I was doing one serious bracket, and then I was going to do one where I just like pick my favorite colors or mascots or whatever, because I thought that was funny. And then I did another one where I just picked my ideal bracket, like going down the games. If I were to pick somebody who I want to win the game, who would it be? Like, who am I most going to be like, yeah, I'm rooting for them. You know what I mean? So in honor of that, I'm going to give you my champions and some of the other stuff here. So for the one where I pick like my favorite mascots, I am actually I'm picking St. Mary's to win that one because their mascot's a freaking peacock, man. Are you kidding me? Or St. Peter's, excuse me, not St. Mary's, St. Peter's. St. Peter's. I do actually have, because I love the Spartans mascot. In that bracket, I have Michigan State playing St. Peter's for the national title. But come on, it's a freaking peacock. I think that's awesome. If you're daring enough to have a peacock as your mascot, you should go to the national title. So that one is not going to be true. The one where I picked my ideal outcome, I actually have Oakland winning the whole deal. Like, I'm going through thinking, man, I would absolutely root for Oakland in this game, and this one, and this one, and this one. So, ideally, I have Oakland winning at least in one of my brackets. That one's probably not going to do so well either. Now, I want to give you the odds before I tell you who I picked to win a national championship this year, okay? UConn is the number one most picked. They have a basically 25% chance at this point of winning a national title. Houston right behind them at 13.8%. Purdue right behind them at 10.2%. Now, who did I pick to win a national championship in my bracket? Tennessee. I ended up with a couple of 2 seeds playing for the national title, Arizona and Tennessee. I got Tennessee coming out on top. And actually, UConn, I have them going out against BYU in the round of 16. I like UConn. They're easily one of the best teams in college basketball right now. But like, God, this is such a weird, uncertain year, North Carolina, like we said yesterday, is in there with 7 losses. There are teams in for some of these big conferences that finished in the middle of their conference. And then we have conference champions from like the A10 and the AAC and stuff that were just dominant coming through. So, I mean, I think you're going to see quite a few upsets. I think the first round is going to go pretty much as planned. It's after that I think you're going to start seeing some craziness. So I'm calling it now. The meatball selection is going to be Tennessee winning a national title this year. For the sake of our office poll, go Vols. But you know what? I'm all in on Oakland if they